Day or normally we do this in the mornings. There is a YouTube link if you guys are struggling with dates on that, because I know Zoom can take a lot in the chat, and we'll start in about 10 minutes. Good afternoon. We're going to give some people to join a little bit later, so we'll start at 5 past. You can write in the comments anything about yourself, what brings you here, why we think code.
Hi everyone. Just once again, we'll be starting at 5 past 2 for those of you that just joined. We're doing this so that everybody can have enough time to join before we start. And then also in the chat while you guys are waiting, just something that we need to ask you guys to maybe help us out with. You'll see in the chat there is a few links that my colleague has put in the chat that says please mark complete, right? So this is basically just like a register, right, for us to get to know who of you guys actually joined us, and then also just to see who of you are actually interested in these workshops that we've been hosting, right? And then this will actually give us the information that we need to maybe in the future give you guys updates on things that is happening at We Think Code. So you'll see that there is the mock is complete, and then there's also a pre-application learning plan. If you would like to have a look at that while we wait for the rest of the people to join, you can go ahead and check those links out.
Okay, I think I'll get started. Zubair, can you admit people in? And can you go to the first slide? Good day, everyone. So I'm Nicola, and Zubair and I are ex-students of We Think Code, and now we actually work for them. And we're here to take your questions and just give you a little bit of insight of what We Think Code is. And we've gone through the exact same thing as you hopefully will go through. So with We Think Code, we are recruitment, training, work placement. Just keep it simple. Can everyone hear me? Thumbs up. Zubair.
Yes, we can hear you.
Cool. So yeah, We Think Code is an NGO, meaning that when you get chosen to train at We Think Code, it is a free education. You actually get a sponsor. So that's why we take you through all the steps. So today we are giving you an insight to a learning plan called pre-application. And then you'll have your assessment, and then you do boot camp and you get chosen. So it is a way for We Think Code giving back to the community. It is a free education. When I first saw it, I thought, wow, this has to be a scam. But yes, next slide. So what you need for what you don't actually need for We Think Code is you don't need prior coding experience or any qualifications, you don't need a matric, and you don't pay for anything. All we need from you is your full time. Like you have to be there 8 hours a day. Just make sure your attendance is good, make sure you're friends with everyone, and just keep up with your work. Don't fall behind and take ownership of your learning journey. That is something that you learn very quick. But when they say no coding knowledge is you don't need to know a thing. You can just walk in there go into matric and come in there, and it is a 16-month program, and you learn everything you have to learn from coding to soft skills and how to be a team player. So when you do get your job, you just don't walk in there and think you own the place. We Think Code puts you in the place. I'm just being honest here. This is why Zubair and I were like, yeah, we're going to totally do open days because we have to be absolutely honest. It is a great experience and I always push for it. Next slide. So here we have our four main values. So grit, I keep going. Personal experience, when boot camp came, I was crying on day 3, but I kept going. You push through, and do you know how amazing it feels to be like, oh my word, that is my project. Oh, those are my marks. And yeah, it's like they push you to be your better self. And it's pretty insane because also now working for them, that you have such an awesome team that has gone through the same things with you because they are We Think Code past students. And then curiosity. So when you're looking at code and you're going, oh, like, I wish I could make this better, you go and you delve deep into the internet and you find cool ways to do things. So don't ever stop your curiosity. You ask why, you go to your partner next to you and you go, hey, why is this? Why is that? So always just be curious. Ubuntu, it's I am here because we are. So you'll learn this very quick in bootcamp. We'll explain everything about bootcamp later, don't stress. And also once you're in a cohort, is you aren't just there to like learn from a teacher. There's no teachers at We Think Code. You are one with your peers. You are one with the person sitting next to you at the table or 4 tables behind. You have to work together as if it's a workplace, right? You go to a workplace, you are in a team. We teach you how to work in a team. It isn't easy. I know this because I did We Think Code. But it's yeah, you are one. Trust me. When one person is failing and you can help them, you are there. When you're failing, as I said, I was 30 years old when I started. I had to go to a 20-year-old and be like, what does this mean? And he was like, yeah, this is how you do it. And I was like, wow, I've learned from someone younger than me. So Ubuntu, you are one. And responsibility, as I say, it's on you. If you're failing, you can't be like, oh, I'm failing because I wasn't at campus, or I just couldn't do this. You are responsible, like as any adult, as any job you walk into, you're responsible for your own work. Always just, yeah, put yourself first, put others also next to you. And We Think Code we're a community. You don't stop being a community. That's also something big. As I say, I work with people who are in my cohort and a cohort ahead of me as well. So we like growing a little army. Come and join our army. Next slide. I'll pass it on to Zubair, who's going to show you what the pre-application is all about.
Thank you, Nicola. Okay, so before we start, right, hopefully some of you have heard about IBM Skills Build, right? So IBM Skills Build is a platform that We Think Code actually partnered with to bring you guys extra skills and to basically ensure that everything that you are learning or extra skills that you want to pick up is easy for you to do, right? So on IBM Skills Build, we've actually created pre-application learning paths as well as pre-bootcamp learning paths, right? So the pre-application learning paths that is there for you once the applications open at We Think Code, right? There's an online assessment that you'll have to do to actually book a bootcamp. And once you've completed the online assessment, you'll be able to book your bootcamp, choose your date of when you would like to do that bootcamp, right? So the online assessment, you can only do that once, right? And once you do that, if, for instance, you don't get the marks that is required, you'll only have that one chance to write the test. If you want to do it again, you'll have to wait till the next year, right? So to help you guys out and to ensure that you have the best chance possible of actually passing that online assessment, we have created the pre-application learning path. So this is on IBM Skills Build, and there is quite a few learning paths as well that you can do to basically ensure that you are ready to write the online assessment, right? So the pre-application learning path is there to ensure that you have all the knowledge and the skills to actually do your best at when you are writing this online assessment. There's also a quiz at the bottom of this learning path. I will show you a little bit later on where this is. So the pre-application, like I'm saying, there is a quiz at the end, right? This quiz is built off from the online assessment. So it has a few questions that is similar to the online assessment. It is not exactly the same, right? So it will give you some experience on what can be expected of you to for you to basically know when you are doing the online assessment, right? And this test you can do as many times as you'd like, right? Until you feel comfortable to do the online assessment. And once you've completed that, right, and you've booked your boot camp, while you're waiting to actually start your boot camp, there is also a pre-boot camp learning path, sorry, that we've actually also created for you guys. And this one is just to introduce you to Python and some of the things that you'll require to actually go through the bootcamp seamlessly and actually know what is going on, right? So it's basically like an introductory session to the bootcamp. And there are, like I'm saying now, there are other learning paths that you can do. So on IBM Skills Build, if you are a person that already has some prior coding experience and you want to just upskill yourself, right? There are learning plans such as computer literacy, cybersecurity, data analytics, AI. There's a bunch of different things that you can do on this website, right? And as you complete more and more of this learning paths and resources that we've created for you guys, you'll also be able to get like certificates and badges from these things that you can actually display on your social media to show other people all these extra skills that you've earned, right? And now I'm just going to switch over to the IBM Skills Build website where I'll show you where you can find a few of these things. Where was this now? Just give me 1 second while I find the tab. Okay. Let me just share a different screen. Nicola, can you just confirm with me if you can see the slide?
I can see your login screen, yeah.
Okay, cool. So for those of you that do not have a IBM Skills Build account yet, right? It's quite easy to actually create an account. So if you look at the bottom of all these buttons, right, you'll see there's a sign up link. Once you click on this link, right, the easiest way to sign up to IBM Skills World is with your Google account. So if your Google account is connected to your browser, right, then you can just say sign up with Google, or otherwise you can sign up with your email, right? So for now, I'm just going to sign up with Google just to streamline the process. And it will ask you which account you would like to sign in with, right? So this is if you're choosing to sign in with Google. And my thing will go all the way through because I already have an account, right? But for those of you that don't have an account, there'll be a short form that you'll have to fill in with like your name, your surname, and then it will also ask where you live, right? So which country you live in, so that it can actually see which learning plans can be made available for you, right? So this is the pre-application learning plan that we've created for you guys. So right at the top, you'll see that there's about this learning plan, right? So guys can read through this and it will show you exactly what this learning plan has to offer. And then right at the top, there is introducing Skills Build, right? And then also welcome to Skills Build and then your journey through IBM Skills Build. So all three of these videos are there just to help you navigate this website and also show you where you can find more information. And then there are some problem solving things in between as well as some critical thinking. And then right at the bottom, you'll see that there is the practice test, right? So this is the test that I spoke about. You can do as many times as you'd like. One thing that I would advise you guys do right now, there isn't really a deadline or like a timeline on there, right? You have 24 hours to do it. But if you guys want to simulate this as like a real world test, I would advise putting a timer on yourself. So if you started this test at say 2 o'clock, right? Try to get through it by 3 o'clock so that you like have exactly 1 hour, right? And then this test actually comprises of 20 questions. And for you to pass this test, you'll have to get 80% and above, right? And if you do fail this test, you'll always be able to do it again, right? So in this quiz, right at the top, you'll actually be able to see how many times you've done it, and you'll be able to see your progress as the score is increasing, right? And then, say for instance, you start this test and you come upon a question that you maybe remember reading through in the plan, but you don't have a full understanding of what it is. You can leave the quiz, right? And then return to the plan, right? Then you can come to any of these videos or web pages, go and look for the answer, and then go back to the quiz, and you should be able to resume wherever you left off. And then for those of you that are interested in learning anything new, right? Right at the top, you'll see there's a search bar, right? If you click on there and you just search WTC, right, for We Think Code, you'll see underneath channels, you'll see there's a We Think Code Training and Development Center. This is the only thing that will actually show up when you search WTC. And in this channel that we've created, there are a few learning plans that you guys can go through, right? So in this learning plan, you'll also see the first ticket will be the We Think Code Bootcamp preparation. So once you've done your online assessment, you've passed it, you've booked your bootcamp, you can come back into IBM Skills Build, and then you can actually go through the bootcamp preparation, which is going to help you and give you the skills needed to basically fly through the bootcamp without any issues, right? I'm not saying it's going to be easy to do the bootcamp once you've done the bootcamp preparation, but you won't be as shocked to see what is there, right? And then there's also programming for beginners. So for those of you that is interested in learning Python or the basics of coding, right, or programming, you can actually go through this learning plan, and there's a few others that you can also go through, right? And then one other thing also on the IBM Skills Build website, you'll see on some of these tickets, right, there'll be learning plan or e-learning, and then you'll also see one that has live online. So the ones that have the live online with it is a previous workshop that we've done, right? So over here you can see we have like the resume slash LinkedIn review workshop, right? And then we also had like work readiness workshops. We've had AI workshops, cloud computing workshops, cybersecurity, data analytics, right? There's quite a few workshops that we've done already. And if you go into this, right, and you go to the activity, this is where you'll find the recording of those links. Okay. Um, Let me just try to find the mock is complete. Um, Nicola, which
Just go look at the chat.
activity was it?
I just also want to add, guys, with the pre-application and assessment, it has nothing to do with coding. So don't sit here and be like, holy cow, I need to know everything about Python. That's what they teach you in boot camp. I will go through that now. But with the practice test, go through it, but you don't need to know about coding. It's like a puzzle. It's like if the roof is red and the grass is green, what color would the sky be? Like those type of questions. So don't ever stress about going into like these practice tests. Stress going into the assessment because you only have one chance. But it's not like coding. They're not going to be like, oh, please make us something that like, please make us Facebook.
Yeah. Um, I think,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
it.
So at the beginning of this workshop, Nicola actually asked some of you to mark this complete, or I asked you, I can't remember. So for those of you that haven't yet joined us for a pre-application workshop before, if you go to the link that is in the chat that says mark is complete, right? Yours should look something like this, right? So this, if you go to the activity, it will be the recording of the workshop. And then once this is done, right, you can click on mark as complete. You'll see that there is the amount of hours spent during this workshop. And once you submit this, right, you'll even be able to get a certificate, right? So to get the certificate, you'll go to actions and then view completion certificate, right? So the certificate will have your name on it, your surname, um, what the workshop is that you've completed, right? It also has the completion date on it, so when you've completed it, right? And then also, if you guys are maybe struggling with anything, you want more information on something, right, you can add it as a comment over here. And we do check these comments all the time. So if you guys have a question, you can put it in over here as a comment or a review, right? And then we can actually reply to you over here, right? Um, I think that is it for the workshop, for, sorry, the website.
A
Um,
website, yes.
yeah. Do you guys have any questions or struggling with anything if you did try to mark it as complete?
Hi,
Uh,
I just want to know, because I did take the assessment last year and sadly I didn't make it. So I just want to know, I'd love to take it again, but where do I go exactly? Do I have to first pass these assessments and then present the certificate in order to take the assessment again? Or
I will let you
um,
know the next slide.
yeah.
Oh, well, just wait until the end. All your answers will be done.
all right, no problem.
But yes, so with the assessment, you have to retake it again. So when you guys, Zubir, can you put the next slide on? Because I think that's going to explain it. So with applications opening in May, you'll have to do the assessment again. But since you guys have signed up for the workshop, we now have your emails. So you will get an email when applications open. And of course, everyone's like, go look at social media when they open it up. But we have said that if anyone's come to these workshops and you've done them with us, we'll give you like a perfect link to it and you can do your assessment. So here's the roadmap for the program. And applications it might start a little bit sooner this year because they've kind of pushed us to do open days with everyone to get everyone hyped. And then the selection program, so May, August is the applications, bootcamp, and the selection. And don't ever stress if they put you on a waiting list. I was put on a waiting list. It just means they want to have a one-on-one interview with you and just to get to know you a little bit better. And then the course is 16 months. We only have one course and it's software engineering, NQF, which is way better than Zubir's I one. And here you learn from fundamentals for everything. And then you go into like your own industry, which way you want to go. That'll be the next slide. And then work placement is We Think Code sets up interviews for you. It is for you to go to that interview and to get placed. And you do a 4-month internship and then you graduate. So if any questions about that, I will come back to the slide now. But the next one is how we do a next slide. Because this is not going to scare you. This is what you learn at We Think Code. We only have one training class, we'll call it. It's software engineering. So it sounds scary, but it is mostly Python in your first year and teamwork. As I said, you always love to work with the most random people ever who don't even show up to campus. So I'm just going to be honest with you. So it's Python, group projects, communication, and then you learn about Java. And it's fun projects. So it's Hello World to making an Uno game to making Sudoku. We Think Code makes everything but about fun and making games, and it's a great structure. And then your second year comes. And that's when you get someone else's code, brownfields, where you have to now go and improve it, but not break the code or anything. And as I say, and then web development is afterwards. And then electives is the one I said, like you go into your own path there where you do data science, blockchain, cloud, app development, integration, and testing. So it is a very solid education, and it's pretty profound how they did it. Because when you get there, you're like, oh, I know everything, and then very quickly they put you in your place. And 4 months work placement, as I say, they give you interviews at like random times, and it's really cool because like you feel so like wanted in that. I did multiple interviews, and then it's just you and an interviewer, and you like they ask you such random questions, and you're like, wow, that's insane. I remember going to an interview and someone was like, so what's your favorite library? And I was like, oh, I haven't done Python for so long. So we will teach you how to interview. That's very important part of We Think Code. So don't ever stress about that. Let's stress about the pre-application. And graduation's great because you see everyone all over again. Next one. I'm trying to make this fun, guys. So, okay, Zubair, are you doing this one?
Sure.
You're doing the next two slides.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So just from the beginning, right, starting with your application process, I'm going to just go through like a step by step on all the processes that you'll be going through until you actually start as a student at We Think Code, right? So, like I said before, the first step in starting your application at We Think Code is the online assessment, right? So the online assessment is a 1 hour long online assessment that tests a candidate's cognitive ability, right? So it's going to test your critical thinking, problem solving, and analytical thinking. And there isn't really or at all any coding involved in it, right? So this test is just to see how well you are at problem solving, right? Can you solve a problem? Can you think outside of the box, right? And then you can only take this test once. So once you've completed the test and you've submitted, if you did not meet the requirements, right? Like I said before, you won't be able to submit another test that year. So the only time you'll be able to retake the test is the following year when the application season opens up again, right? So just make sure that before the test you're well prepared. You go through the IBM practice test, right? Do that as many times as you can until you're comfortable with it, right? And then make sure that you have data, Wi-Fi, and that your connectivity is good, right? And then just check also the load shedding schedule, right? We don't want you to start your online assessment and then load shedding hits and you don't have any network, any Wi-Fi, and then you're basically failing the test because of load shedding, right? So just make sure that you have all of those boxes ticked. And then step two would be selecting your bootcamp, right? So once you've completed the online assessment, you've booked your bootcamp, right? So the bootcamp is a 6-day on-campus, um, sorry, it's a 6-day course that you're doing on campus. There is no online bootcamp, right? So everything is on campus. And this is basically just to test your ability to learn basic coding concepts and then also to work with others, right? So in the work environment, it's quite rare for you to be working on a project alone. So most of that is going to be group projects, and then also it's also testing to see how quickly you can pick up new concepts, right? So in the workplace, you won't have a lot of time to learn maybe a new language, right? So We Think Code tests to see how quickly you can pick up new concepts and then also how you work with others. So it's a technical performance, there's ability to collaborate, and then also you have bootcamp mentors who will be providing you with support, right? So the bootcamp mentors are usually our second year students, so people that are starting with Java. So these are students that have gone through the program already and they basically have completed and mastered Python, right? So they will be the ones there to support you throughout the bootcamp. So if you have any questions, they are there to help you. And then this is also how we start to test your capacity to learn how to code, right? So the only things that we expect from you is to like basically prepare for the bootcamp is to use the resources that We Think Code shares with you, right? So IBM Skills World, going through the bootcamp preparation, learning plans, going online, checking out available resources, making yourself aware of different things happening right now, right? And then also arriving on time and being there every day, right? And if, say, for instance, you come to the Wednesday and something happens, right, and you won't be able to make it in, you need to communicate with the team or one of the bootcamp mentors that you won't be in that day, right? And normally the arrival time is between 7 and 10 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. And then the campus closes at 6 o'clock. So you have to be on the campus for roughly 8 hours, right? And then the bookings are first comes, first serve, right? So I would advise most of you to actually start the IBM practice, pre-application practice plan as soon as possible, right? So that when the applications do open, then you are ready to write the exam, right? Or not the exam, the online assessment, right? If you guys are wondering when that will open, right? Just keep an eye out on the social media, like Nicholas said before, and that should give you ample time to basically go through everything that is needed, right? And then there will also be a team interview, right? So once you've completed the boot camp, you've done whatever needed to be done, and now you're basically just waiting to see if you got accepted, right? While you're waiting, there will be a team interview. So it's a 30-minute video interview with the We Think Code team. And this is just to check your technical comprehension against the bootcamp performance, right? So if your bootcamp performance was maybe just on par, right? You haven't exceeded expectations, right? You maybe got like 80% in a few of your exams or 60%, right? And say, for instance, the pass mark was 60% and you got on that. Those of you that gets that will most likely get the 30-minute video interview, right? And then it's also to check the ability to work in a peer-to-peer learning environment, right? So if you're a person that is quite shy, you don't like to really put yourself out there and talk to people that you don't know, right? This is the place that you're actually going to have to overcome some of these issues. So I know when I started, I was quite a shy person, right? And for the first 2 days of the boot camp, I never really spoke to anybody, right? I just put my head into the work and did whatever I had to do. And because I did that, I struggled a lot, right? And after that, once the work started getting harder, right, you'll basically learn to push past that and ask others for help. And once you do that, you'll actually see that asking others for help is actually to your benefit, right? So if you don't understand something, ask somebody else. That will basically get you ahead, right? And then also, so this tip is optional, right? So um, usually reserved for the applicants who showed like a strong promise and they did quite well in the bootcamp, right? Um, they will get the last chance to basically show that they did everything properly, they are ready, and they are actually serious about this opportunity, right? Those people are the ones that will be getting the interview. And then enrollment, right? So once you do get accepted into We Think Code, you've signed your contract, right? So first it will be registration, right? You'll get your accept your offer letter, right? And once you sign this offer letter, we will have to send through an identity verification, right? And then some personal documentation, and there'll also be a criminal background check done, right? So usually these things happen within the first week of you starting at We Think Code, right? So the first week is the induction, right? And during the induction, we'll be checking to make sure that all your documents have been put through. you've done your criminal background check, and you've actually signed your contract and submitted it, right? And then also in that induction week, right, it will be introducing you to Within Code and the Within Code team, right? And then there'll be a curriculum outline. So it will basically show you exactly what is going to be happening throughout the 16 months that you are with us, right? And then you'll also be introduced to campus operations. So these are the people that, if you have any issues with maybe documents or you struggling with something on the campus, right? These are the people that you'll be going to. And then they'll also be going through the code of conduct and contractual obligations. Um, Can I just check before I go on if everybody is still with me? Nicola, can you still hear me?
Sorry, I didn't know where my reactions were.
Okay, cool. So just the last section before we take any questions, the onboarding, right? So at Within Code, we have a LMS system, right? A learning management system. So the system is there to ensure that all the courses and things that you have to do, you actually have access to them, right? So the only way you'll get access to these things if the induction week was a success and you got onboarded correctly, right? You have your student emails and everything is working properly, then you'll have access to this material, right? And then there's also the platform onboarding, right? And then stipend applications lastly, right? So I know there's going to be a few questions of how much the stipend is and quite a few other things, right? So before those questions come through, I just want to say we can't actually say how much the stipend will be, right? Because it is dependent on the need of the student, right? So if a student is maybe renting somewhere, right? So maybe they relocated, right? So they maybe need to pay rent. They're traveling from far. All of these different things are taken into account when you do apply for a stipend. So,
Can I
is
just
there?
add a few things?
Sure.
Okay, so so the stipend isn't also like to pay rent. You're not going to get that much money, but it is to help for like people that are traveling from far to base it and everything. And but look at your contract. So the contract will say, please send in. So these are the problems we had with past students where you get a contract and there are forms with a contract, and you just fill them in, go to the police station, get it stamped, and you can get a stipend. Some students will be like, oh no, like I've done this and I've done that and everything, and like, where's my money? This is what's happened. And it's like, please just follow the code of conduct. That's what I was even saying, that it's a free education. You sign a contract, be there for 8 hours a day. You aren't allowed a job, guys. Unfortunately, Within Code is full time. It is like a lot. We have campuses in Cape Town, Johannesburg. I don't know what happened to Durban. That was a question. But just read your contract carefully. But now I'm going to come back to the assessment. With the assessment, you have one chance. And this was brings us here today. Please just do the pre-assessment. Go do some like problem solving things and puzzles. As it does help because we do want to see you at the boot camp. We want to give everyone a chance to learn how to code and everything. So that's all I wanted to add. Don't think about the money, think about the free education.
Yeah. um, I'm just reading now, checking the questions. My chat is jumping up and down the whole time. I see that you've actually answered a few of the questions. Um, I see there's one question here. Is there a campus in Durban? No, there is no longer campus in Durban. So the only campuses that we have at the moment is in Cape Town, in Woodstock, and then in Johannesburg. I think it's in Rosebank, Nicola. Is it Rosebank?
Yes, it is Rosebank.
Yeah. So the only two private campuses that we have is in Woodstock in Cape Town and Rosebank in Johannesburg. And then we also have TVET campuses that we partnered with. So in the Western Cape, there is South Esekwa campus that we've partnered with, and this is located in Riversdale. And then there's also CJC in Johannesburg. I'm not sure exactly which area it's in. I hope that answered your question. Can I ask a question through audio? Gabriel, you can ask your question.
Hello, sir. How are you, sir?
Good, and you?
Yeah, sir. I wanted to ask. I didn't clearly get the test information, so I wanted to ask. On the test, you said there's a pre-application test which we only write once, right?
The application, the online assessment that We Think Code has. That one you can only write
Yeah.
once. The one that is on IBM Skills Build, that test you can actually do as many times as you want. So the only one that you can only do once is the online assessment from We Think Code.
Oh, when would that be? Let me just get that again.
So the one that We Think Code has, right? That one, we're not exactly sure when that test will be made available, right? So the application season is closed at the moment for We Think Code, right? And it will be opening up
Oh,
around May side. I'm not exactly sure which date. The only thing that I can let you know is to maybe just keep an eye out on the social media We Think Code on either Instagram, Facebook, or even on LinkedIn, right? You can just keep an eye out on those social media websites, and then once application season opens, they'll put a post out.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thanks for the question. And then there's another question here. Is it possible to get the 80% on the online assessment and still not get the bootcamp invitation / interview? Also, will my location in the country affect my success? Like maybe if I'm located in, oh, that's no promise. Oh, this thing keeps jumping around. So like I said, right, for the online assessment, right, if you've passed it, right, so it doesn't matter if you got 80%, 90%, 100% for that assessment, right? Once you've passed it and you actually go and book your bootcamp, right? If there are still spots available for the bootcamp, you were able to book it, right? And once you've booked it, you'll immediately get the invite telling you when you can join, at what time, and all the other requirements, right? So for those of you that actually do the online assessment and you do it within a specific time, right? It is first come, first serve. So as long as there is an opening, you'll be able to get in. And I don't think the location actually affects your success, Nicola. Do you know if a location affects the success in actually
No,
being?
not at all. So it just means that you might have to travel to the campuses, but not at all. Just always do the online assessment and see if you pass and take it from there. Then I'll answer the next question. You do get a laptop to work at campus for? The question was, do you get study materials after signing contract? You aren't allowed to take the laptop home, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
then what kind of certificate do you get? Yes, you do get SACWA. You get a NQF, which is a national diploma, which is a pretty big step. Yes, we'll send a recording of this, or at the mark complete, there is a recording, I think, of previous times we've done this. And Zubir,
I think you skipped over one question. There was one that asked, what are the marks required to
oh,
qualify to be selected for the boot camp? Um, I'm not exactly sure what the pass mark is for you to actually pass the test. Um, Nicola, do you know what is the pass mark?
I actually don't know. I don't remember it. I just remember, okay, my thing when it came to the assessment is because we never had a pre-assessment, I don't think. Right, Zubir? So it just said, hey, go into this, you have 1 hour to complete, good luck. And you go in, your hands are sweaty, and you just read the most random questions. And then at the end, I got a congratulations, you passed. So they didn't actually give us a marks at all.
Yeah, I think something that you can do, right? Just try your best, right? Try to get as much done as possible. So, like we've been saying, do as much as you can on IBM Skills Build, the quiz, right? The practice test. Go through that as much times as you can. Try to get 100% on that practice test. And if you getting 100%, you're doing it maybe like 4 or 5 times in a row, and each time you're just getting 100% right, and you're actually understanding what is happening, right? When you do the online assessment, you'll be able to basically break down the questions and understand what is required of you, right? That way you'll be able to get the best marks possible. Hope that answered that question. Do you see 25? Um, where do you see 21st century skills put up for free? The certifications we get from IBM. So the certifications that you get from IBM, right? It's not a, how do I say, it's not really a qualification, right? So the free ones that are available on IBM Skills Build, right? It is just a certificate, right? So although there isn't a qualification behind it, you can put it on social media. That way, other people can see that you are interested in learning, right? And even though you don't have like a qualification behind you, like an NQF6 or whatever other qualification there is, right? Um, it does show them that you have the willingness to learn, right? And actually upskill yourself. So, wait, yeah. How do we get the practice of taste? Um, I'm not sure if I'm missing any questions.
So what is the NQF level?
It's a NQF6, a national diploma.
Okay. So if you, for example, you pass the pre-assessment, no, the assessment, pardon me, the online assessment,
Yes, yes.
and then you don't get a spot for the boot camp, does that mean you need to reapply again for the following year?
Okay, so for the online assessment, if you pass the online assessment, everyone will get a spot in the boot camp. If you pass it, you get boot camp. No matter, like, that's the whole thing. So if you go, congratulations, you passed the assessment, you're going to boot camp. And that's where like the gruelingness happens, where the mentors will watch you and you do coding and that. And that's kind of where like the push comes to shove happens. So the online assessment is it's a way to get into boot camp.
Okay. Right, thank you.
Don't stress. It's not that hard, as I say, like it just pops up all of a sudden in your emails a link. You go put in your details and you do an online assessment. And as Zubir said, is always time yourself if you go do, I think an IQ test is very similar to what the assessment is. So this practice test doesn't change. So you can do it a few times, but if it gets a little bit boring in that, you can go to like an IQ place and just test yourself for like an hour of see how far you can get.
Yeah. I think that is all the questions in the chat. I see
There's
this.
one hand raised.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find where the hand is up.
It was me. I asked the question. I don't know if
Oh.
there's another hand.
There's another hand.
Yeah. Amala, can unmute yourself.
All right, thank you so much. I just want to say thank you guys for the opportunity, giving us the opportunity to upskill. I have been trying to get into, well, learn about tech for quite a long time. I've never really just found like the time, I guess, and just the learning path that would help me, especially with like my struggles of learning. I think you guys are going to be great, and in terms of just helping us overall get to where we need to be, and I'm definitely excited to work with you guys.
Thank you. We're actually excited to work with you guys as well.
Yeah, so like when applications do open, we will send you an email and just ask questions even before you do the assessment because there's no deadline on it. So when applications open for like a month. So don't just go, oh my goodness, they're open, and you go rushing head first. Just look at it, keep an eye on it, and then maybe like a week later you do it. Don't go rushing head first. But it's a great opportunity and we're really delightful. As I say, the whole We Think Code community kind of builds and everyone kind of gets you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Hopefully we can keep helping you guys out for a few more cohorts, right? But yeah, I think that was all the questions. I don't see any more questions in. Oh wait, nope. Okay, here's one more question. What is this? First come first serve. So how can we wait? I think what Nicola is trying to say, right? If you see, whoop, there's it open now, right? And you just jump into it, right? When you do start the test, don't just rush through it, right? Try to think about what you're actually doing. Make sure that you are well prepared, right? So if you are well prepared, you feel like, okay, you know, you've prepared well enough, you've been doing the practice test now for a couple of weeks, you've been getting 100% on that, you've done all these other extra practice tests to actually make sure that you are what is it now? You are ready for the test, right? Then you can take it, right? But just to make sure that you are ready, right? The boot camps, right? It won't close immediately, right? So once you see the post, right, the boot camps will be open for, I think, a month or 2 months,
It's like
depending
3 months.
on.
It's from May to August. So yes, let me just clarify. I'm so sorry. What I'm saying is that when you see a link, don't go, just make sure you're in a quiet place, make sure you have the time, make sure everything's charged. It's a test that like can change your future. So yeah, it took me about like a week to even like push the link to start my test because I was like, is this something that I want? I don't know what I'm going to get because I'm a very nervous person, especially in tests. So when the link comes, don't be like, there's a rush. There's no closing of the boot camps. If you pass that assessment, you're going to boot camp and it's a great time. As I say, you make friends and you really join. But as I say, we'll send you an email. And if you have any questions, even when the assessment starts, just message us and be like, hey, I'm a little bit nervous here. And we can be like, okay, cool. Don't stress about that. We've gone through here. But we want to help you because it also, when you go to boot camp, you meet like amazing boot camp assistants, and that's actually what Zubair and I were. We were just assisting with boot camps and that, and like the things that people ask you, you're like, are you okay? Like they'll be like, oh no, my code's not working, and we'll be like, we can't help you, so this is where we want to help you on this side of the wall.
Yeah. So just something I wanted to add on what Nicola was saying. She did mention that if you guys are struggling with something, you guys can reach out to us, right? So on the mock is complete, right? That I went through earlier on where I said you can add like a review if you have any questions, right? Another thing that you can also do, if you guys want to email us, right, with any questions that you are maybe struggling with on the IBM website, right? You can message us. I'll just put it, or Nicola, can you put the IBM email in the chat? And then they can just take a note of it so that if they do have any questions, then they can email us. And then hopefully, if you guys have any questions, you can email us there. Anything that you're struggling with, anything that you may be looking for in the future, right? So you may be looking to upskill yourself on something that you cannot maybe find on the IBM's website, you can email us, right? And we'll try to get that for you. Nicola?
Yes. So the one question is, sounds like a little bit off topic, but with the 6-day boot camp, they've heard that you have to pass at 90% all your assessments and all your tests. No. So
Nope.
at boot camp, they push you. They make like there's a lot of work all at once, and it's just to see how you work under pressure, but it's also to see how you work with other people. So when you walk into boot camp, it's not about how much work you can do in one day or what your test results are. It's how you can go interact with someone. If someone goes, hey, I'm actually needing some help, and you go, oh yeah, I can actually help you with that. Or you getting off your seat and going to ask for help. It's more of how We Think Code chooses people isn't by like how big your brain is. It's how you interact with people and how you can work together as a team. Because when it comes to jobs, you are not going to be working on like a gigantic project. You're going to be working in a little project with a huge group. So Zubair and I did do the bootcamp work this year. And it isn't easy, but if you work as a team and you put your two brains together, you're not copying each other's code. You're just talking through and like giving each other ideas. It's pretty easy. So don't think you're going to have to like pass 90% of all your work. It's pretty impossible, because what I mean is the first semester at We Think Code, you learn all your bootcamp work. They just love to push it's called bootcamp. It's hardcore. But if you have friends there, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah. The next question asks, is there a limited number of students that will be admitted this year? So yes, every year there is a certain amount of students that will only be admitted, right? And like Nicholas said, there are different things that they look for in our students, right? So I'm just going to jump over the one question because I see the next question asked about cultural fit, right? So the cultural fit is something that they look at when you do your boot camp, right? So, like Nicholas said, they look at, do you interact with others, right? Do you ask questions when somebody comes to you for help? Are you actually helping them out? Are you maybe just chasing them away, right? Are you interacting with them, right? So it's not just about your marks, right? How much you get on a test, because you might start the week off knowing absolutely nothing, right? And then going into the end of the week and you know everything. But throughout the week, you never maybe interacted with anybody. You haven't asked any questions or any of those things, or you didn't really try to help anybody else out, right? Such a person, they won't be accepted immediately, right? So you won't be the only one that is making big jumps in your your marks, right? So we get people at our boot camps that comes with some coding experience. We get a lot of them that come with no coding experience, and most of them, the growth is quite big, right? In that 6 days of learning, those of them that come in with no coding experience, they would leave being able to write like small pieces of code, like creating a calculator or just like a simple game that you can play, right? So it doesn't really only look at your marks. It looks at quite a few different things. And then the final selection of those, where did that one now go? Final selection of those officially be training within code. Will it be done at the bootcamp? No. So the final selection happens once most of the boot camps have already been completed, right? So I think it's a week after all the boot camps are done. That is when they do the final selection, right? Because we do get quite a few people joining the boot camp, and there is only a limited amount of people that we can accept, right? So depending on how you did, right, they'll be looking at everybody that did the boot camp, right? And then from there, that is when the final selection takes place. I think that was the last question. There isn't any more hands up. Yeah. Okay, cool. I think our time is also up. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys. Good to have a chat with you.
Thank you for all the questions. Hope to see most of you in the boot camp. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. If you have any questions,
You can also join the next webinar and have another chat with us. We are here to answer your questions. So like in 2 days' time, you can always sign up for the next one and be like, hey, I'm here to ask 100 questions. Or you can even come
Oh.
host with us.
last thing before I forget. Thank you for reminding me about that, Nicola. So if you guys do want to join any of our workshops, right, there is something new that we just recently put in place. I completely forgot to talk about it. So on WhatsApp, right, we have a section in our Within Code chatbot that actually allows you to book not a boot camp, a webinar on WhatsApp, right? So if you do want to get that chatbot, right? If you want to connect with it, if you are on your computer, if you go search Within Code, right? On the Within Code website, at the top right-hand corner, you'll see there is the WhatsApp logo, right? If you click on that, then you'll be able to actually access the WhatsApp chatbot. And option 9 will be IBM Skills Build. And if you click on that, you'll be able to register for any of the workshops.
I've put it
if
in the
you are
chat.
if you are on your mobile device, if you go and search Within Code, you'll have to go to the bottom of your screen and then click on the QR code. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully we see you guys in the CS Bootcamp. And good luck with whatever you guys are planning on doing.